December 1944, Supreme Headquarters, Allied Expeditionary Force. Dwight D. Eisenhower is reading a situation report he does not like. It is not the numbers. He has learned to live with numbers. It is not the casualties. Those are expected now. It is one sentence near the bottom of the page that makes him stop. Third Army has continued its advance despite explicit instructions to hold. Eisenhower reads it again, slowly. Patton has ignored his orders, not delayed them, not misinterpreted them, ignored them. Outside the room, staff officers move quietly. Phones ring. Maps are updated. The war keeps moving. Inside the room, Eisenhower does not speak, because this is not a normal problem. If Patton is right, stopping him could cost lives. If Patton is wrong, letting him continue could collapse the entire Allied command structure. And Eisenhower knows something worse. This is not the first time. Patton has always treated orders like obstacles, guidelines to work around, suggestions to be outrun. Until now, Eisenhower could tolerate it. Patton delivered results faster than anyone else. He broke enemies before they understood what was happening. But this time is different. This time, Patton has crossed from aggression into independence. And Eisenhower understands the real danger immediately. If one general can ignore orders and succeed, others will try. If one army operates outside coordination, alliances fracture. If command authority breaks, the war stops being manageable. Patton is not just disobeying Eisenhower. He is forcing Eisenhower to choose between control and speed, between systems and men, between winning the war cleanly and winning it at all. Eisenhower looks at the map again. Patton's arrow is deep, too deep. It is moving faster than supply lines, faster than intelligence reports, faster than Eisenhower's ability to explain it to allies. If Patton keeps going, he could collide with Soviet forces, trigger a diplomatic crisis, turn victory into chaos. And yet, if Eisenhower reins him in, he may be stopping the very momentum that is breaking Germany apart. This is the moment Eisenhower realizes something unsettling. The war is no longer about defeating the enemy. It is about controlling his own commanders. And Patton, brilliant, reckless, unstoppable Patton, has just forced him into the most dangerous position of his career. Because now, Eisenhower has to answer a question no manual prepares you for. What do you do when the man winning your war will not listen to you? And more importantly, what happens if you let him continue? Eisenhower finally speaks. "Get me Bradley." The aide does not ask why. He already knows. Minutes later, the line crackles to life. Bradley's voice sounds tired. It always does now. "Ike." "Omar," Eisenhower says, calm but flat. "Why is Third Army still advancing?" There is a pause, not a long one, a careful one. "They ran into opportunity," Bradley says. "Patton pushed through. That wasn't the order." "No, sir." Eisenhower turns back to the map. He traces the arrow with his finger. It is ahead of every other Allied formation. Too far ahead. "Did you tell him to stop?" Bradley exhales. "Yes." And he didn't. Silence. That is the moment Eisenhower realizes something important. Patton did not misunderstand the order. He did not delay it. He rejected it. "Put him on," Eisenhower says. Bradley hesitates. "Sir, put him on." Another pause. Longer this time. Voices murmur on Bradley's end. Then a click. "George here." Patton sounds cheerful, almost relaxed. "Why are you still advancing?" Eisenhower asks. "Because with Patton, there is no point in warming up." "Because the Germans are breaking," Patton says. "If I stop now, they recover. If I keep moving, they don't? That wasn't your call. It should be. Eisenhower straightens. You don't get to decide that. Patton laughs, softly. I just did. Bradley winces on the other end of the line. Eisenhower does not raise his voice. That is not his style. You were ordered to hold. You didn't. Explain. I'm winning, Patton says. Fast. That doesn't answer the question. It answers the only one that matters. Eisenhower looks around the room. His staff is frozen. Everyone understands what is happening. Patton is not arguing tactics. He is arguing authority. You're ahead of your supply lines, Eisenhower says. Ahead of intelligence. Ahead of coordination. If something goes wrong, nothing's going wrong. If something goes wrong, Eisenhower repeats, I won't be able to support you. You won't need to. Bradley finally breaks in. George, this isn't about your confidence. No, Patton snaps. It's about your caution. The line goes quiet again. Eisenhower feels the weight of it now. This is not insubordination in the usual sense. This is something more dangerous. Patton believes speed itself is protection, that moving faster than the system can respond makes him untouchable. And the worst part is, so far, he's right. Eisenhower ends the call himself. Stand by, he says. Both of you. The phones go dead. Eisenhower turns to his chief of staff. If I let him continue, Eisenhower says slowly, I teach every general that results matter more than orders. The chief nods. And if I stop him, Eisenhower continues, I may slow the collapse of Germany itself. No one speaks. This is the realization. Patton has turned success into leverage. He has forced Eisenhower into a position where control looks like failure and discipline looks like hesitation. And Eisenhower understands something else now. This will not end with Patton slowing down. It will end with Eisenhower deciding whether he is willing to risk the alliance to rein in the man winning the war. Eisenhower does not sleep that night, not because of Patton, because of everyone else. By morning, reports arrive from 3 different desks. British liaison officers want clarification. Soviet observers are asking questions about advance lines. Staff planners are already redrawing maps that no longer match reality. Patton has moved again, faster than expected, farther than authorized. Eisenhower studies the new positions in silence. Third Army is no longer just ahead. It is separate, a force moving on its own rhythm. This cannot become precedent, Eisenhower says. No one disagrees. The problem is that precedent is already forming. British headquarters sends a message before noon. Polite, careful, concerned. They want to know why an American army appears to be operating independently of agreed coordination. They remind Eisenhower gently that coalition warfare depends on predictability. Eisenhower understands what they are really asking. Is this intentional? Is America letting Patton run free? Or has Eisenhower lost control? That question matters more than Patton's next objective. Because if Eisenhower cannot restrain his most aggressive general, then Montgomery will demand equal latitude. So will others. And if Eisenhower reins Patton in publicly, he risks looking weak at the exact moment momentum is breaking Germany apart. He calls Bradley again. They're asking questions, Eisenhower says. They will, Bradley replies. Can you slow him? Bradley hesitates. Not without a direct order. And if I give one? Bradley does not answer immediately. That depends on whether you're prepared to enforce it. That is the heart of it. Eisenhower knows enforcement would mean consequences, real ones, relieving Patton, publicly. The alliance would see it as discipline. The troops would see it as punishment for success. And Patton himself? Patton would see it as betrayal. Another report lands on Eisenhower's desk. Casualties are low, prisoners are high. German resistance is collapsing in sectors Patton passes through. The facts are inconvenient. Patton is not just advancing, he is breaking the enemy psychologically. Eisenhower stands and walks to the window. Outside, the machinery of war hums along. Trucks, radios, men moving with purpose. This is what Eisenhower was built to manage. Systems, coordination, balance. Patton does not fit into that. Patton never has. "Sir," an aide says carefully, "the Soviets are requesting clarification on advance limits." That gets Eisenhower's attention. If Patton pushes too far east, this stops being a military problem and becomes a geopolitical one. A single miscalculation could trigger a crisis no battlefield victory can fix. Eisenhower turns back to the map. He sees it clearly now. Patton is not just testing German defenses. He is testing the boundaries of post-war order. And Eisenhower realizes the truth he has been circling since the first report. Patton cannot be controlled with reminders. He cannot be guided with suggestions. He will only respond to one thing: force, not military force, institutional force, a line he cannot cross without consequences. Eisenhower picks up the phone again. "Get me Patton," he says. This time, there is no hesitation, because the next conversation will decide more than the pace of the advance. It will decide whether Eisenhower commands this war or merely presides over it. Patton comes on the line quickly this time. "George here." No humor, no warmth. He knows why Eisenhower is calling. "This stops now," Eisenhower says. Not loudly, not angrily, final. Patton does not answer immediately. When he does, his voice is controlled. "You're asking me to slow down." "I'm ordering you to." "For political reasons." "For strategic ones." "They're the same thing," Patton says. "You're worried about allies. I'm worried about the enemy." "You are worried about winning your way," Eisenhower replies. "I am worried about winning at all." There it is. Patton exhales through his nose. "If I stop, the Germans breathe." "And if you keep going," Eisenhower says, "you risk breaking the alliance that makes this war possible." Patton is quiet. This is the moment Eisenhower understands something essential. Patton is not reckless. He is principled. His principle is simple. Relentless pressure ends wars faster. Everything else is noise. Eisenhower's principle is different. Wars are not won by armies alone. They are won by systems that survive success. "You will file regular position reports," Eisenhower says. "You will coordinate advances. You will respect boundaries." "And if I don't?" Eisenhower does not hesitate. "Then I will relieve you." Bradley listens in silence, barely breathing. Patton laughs once, short, sharp. "You'd fire the man winning your war." "I'd fire the man who makes winning unsustainable." Another pause. This one lasts longer. Patton finally speaks. "You know this slows everything." "Yes." "And you're willing to accept that." "Yes." Patton considers it. Eisenhower can almost hear the calculation. "Very well," Patton says at last. "I'll report. I'll coordinate. I'll pretend this makes sense. But if the enemy regroups because of this," Patton says, "that blood is on your hands." Eisenhower answers immediately. "I've been carrying that weight since Normandy." The line goes dead. Bradley lets out a breath he did not realize he was holding. For the first time since the report arrived, Eisenhower sits down. He does not feel victorious. He feels tired. In the weeks that follow, Third Army continues its advance, but slower. Reports come in. Boundaries are respected. The system reasserts itself. Germany still collapses. Not as fast as Patton wanted. Fast enough. And Eisenhower never doubts the decision again, because he has realized the thing Patton never fully accepted. Modern war is not about how fast one man can move. It is about how many moving parts can stay aligned while everything accelerates. Patton was a force of nature. Eisenhower was a force of balance. One shattered enemies. The other held alliances together long enough to finish the job. When the war ends, Patton will be remembered for speed, audacity, and pressure. Eisenhower will be remembered for something quieter, control, not over territory, not over enemies, over men like Patton. And that may have been the harder victory.